One thing I would never do is date a man who saw his mom get physically abused.
Hey beautiful people, how you are doing today? It's your girl Destiny here and welcome back to my channel. How you are doing? Hope you guys are doing great. So today's video is very interesting as always. Okay, you guys know we have amazing conversation here, so you want to watch this video to the end. So this video is a video of Amy Talks, and she was having a conversation with this black man talking about how you need to vent people that you date because what they see in their childhood, what their childhood looks like, really reflects on who they are and what they are. And she went on to give the instance of a man that saw his mother being abused, being DV. The man is likely to end up repeating the same act towards a female too. And the male guy also went on to talk about how he also vents, like look at how a girl's mom and sisters are before go on with them. If he doesn't like the vibe, he will not. Let me know if that is a deal for you. If you have to look at people's family, their dynamic, know their childhood, because their childhood makes them who they are as the adults they are today. Let me know what you think about that. Anyway, guys, let's go check out the video, then we'll come back and talk more.
When you date a man, you need to vet not only who you see in front of you, but vet his history too. Because one thing I would never do is date a man who saw his mom get physically abused. The rates for a man to repeat that cycle when they see their mom getting physically abused is so much higher. Chris Brown saw his mom getting abused. Darius saw his mom getting abused. We know the rates to repeat that cycle when you see abuse is so much higher. I'm not putting myself at risk like that.
How do you know this? You're going to start asking questions. Your mom got beat up?
Well, yeah, I'm going to be like, you know, what? Are your parents together? No? Oh, okay, why? I want to know about your childhood because I want to know what you saw, what you grew up seeing, what you're going to repeat in the future. You got to vet people's parents because you're not just marrying the person, you're marrying their family.
I definitely look at people's family. I definitely look at women and like their sisters, their mom, how their mom act, can their mom cook, how their mom treated them, all type of shit. And if I don't like the family dynamic, then I'm out. I'm good.
Let me know down in the comment section if you think the family dynamic really is important before you start dating somebody or take a relationship to the next level. Let me know what you think. I have a lot to say, and this has gotten a lot of people, and a lot of people have an opinion about this. But please go down in the comment section and share your thoughts. I'd love to know your thoughts on this. Okay, so go and share your thoughts. I'll share my thoughts later on in the video. But let's go hear what people think about this, if they think that the dynamic of a family shape who a person is, or a person's childhood shape who they are now as an adult. So let's go check it out and then we'll come back and talk.
Because you're going to start asking questions. Your mom got beat up?
Well, yeah, I'm going to be like, you know, what? Are your parents?
Yo, I love her questions, and her takes are so interesting because you have to ask these questions. I learned my lesson, baby. I have to ask these questions because depending on how they answer, it lets you know how you need to move forward and vet them based off of what they say. If their actions don't match, you got to hit the door because you'll find yourself constantly looking for those answers like they gave you. If this person is that way, why are they doing this? If this person did this to you, why are you around them? Now you got to question anything and everything they tell you. Listen, I like her brain. I like the way she thinks.
Because one thing I would never do is date a man who saw his mom get physically abused.
Facts. This is facts. Not only do you have to vet a man and his character, you have to vet his family. How was that man raised? And if his family are toxic and fucking dysfunctional, has he had the courage to set a boundary and cut them off so that he could do the healing and inner work from all the dysfunction and chaos they've caused in his life, all the trauma, the childhood trauma? If he still has a close enmeshed relationship with his family and they're toxic as fuck, you got to run. You got to get the fuck up out of there. His family has ruined him. And yes, a lot of times these men will sit up and bash and talk shit about their family. He'll sit up and talk about his mama being a hoe, a weak ass bitch. She let daddy walk all over her. He'll talk shit about his father. He'll talk shit about his sister. But he's two-faced. He's a two-faced snake. He's a narcissist. And what narcissists love to do is play both sides of the fence. This is called triangulation. So while he's talking shit about his mama and his sister to you, trust and believe he's going to go to his family behind your back and talk shit about you. He's going to sit up with his mama and sister and female cousins and tell them all y'all business and tell them about all the arguments you had. So that the women in his family in general, can fucking start side-eyeing you and start treating you funny. Then when he sets you up to dump you, the family gonna be on his side because he didn't talk so much shit about you. So it's critical that you find out how this nigga was raised and how much power and influence his toxic, dysfunctional, narcissistic family has over him. And I'm gonna tell you another trick. Ladies, I want y'all to open up your eyes. We going into a new year. It's time to smarten up. If you are a woman with morals and high standards, and basically you're the total opposite of his mama and the women in his family, let's just say all the women in his family are misogynistic, they male worshiping, coddling ass bitches, they worship the ground a man fucking walks on. No matter if that nigga cheats, lies, beats, whatever he does to a woman, these bitches worship the ground a toxic man walks on. But you come up in there, he introduces you to the family, and your standards are totally different than his family's. Like, you have morals, you have high standards, you don't take no bullshit, you set boundaries, and most importantly, you're trying to pull him out of the toxic environment and show him better things in life so that he could fucking level up. Do you know his family will fucking hate your ass? And you best believe they will help that nigga lie and cheat on you. They'll help him pull him away from you because they don't want him to leave the toxic, dysfunctional system that they have created. See, he's been trained and groomed since childhood to stay loyal to his family no matter how abusive and dysfunctional and trifling they are. They've groomed him to never stray. He might stray a little bit, but he better come on back. His mama and daddy taught him your loyalty is to your family. I don't give a fuck how crazy we are, how abusive we are. His mama will be like, yeah, your daddy beat the fuck out of me. Your daddy got mad side chicks, but we family. You supposed to stay here. You have to vet a man based on his morals, his ethics, his upbringing. I don't care how well he presents himself. He's always going to come off charming and well-dressed and well-mannered. Every snake moves the same way. Find out how his parents fucking raised him. If they abused him in any type of way. If he witnessed his mama being disrespected, dog walked, cheated on by his father. And then, ladies, I'm going to tell you another thing, ladies. A lot of y'all get this shit twisted up. You think because a man comes from a two-parent household, he grew up with both his parents in the house, that, you know, you in the clear. No. Because let me make you understand something. If his parents were married and he was raised in a two-parent household, but he witnessed his daddy treat his mama like garbage. He knows his daddy had side chicks and cheated on his mama. He saw his daddy beat the fuck out his mama. Girl, you in trouble. Stop thinking that a two-parent household, a man that's raised in a two-parent household means he's got a good upbringing. No. It depends on what he witnessed his father do to his mama. And if his father abused his mama, you best believe he's going to fucking repeat the cycle. My ex did it to me. I found out late that my ex abused his baby mothers, beat their asses. The nigga went to prison for 20 years. I found out about this late. He went to prison for 20 years. He pulled a gun on his girlfriend at the time and led police on a high-speed car chase. Then when the nigga got released after 20 years, he looked me up. And within a month of me getting back with him, he strangled and beat me and body slammed me on the ground. Straight, he left his fingerprints in my throat, which said to me, prison didn't teach him shit. It made his behavior worse. His father and mother created a fucking monster, and prison made that monster even 10 times worse. How the fuck do you serve 20 years in prison for domestic violence and you come out putting your hands on a woman still? Something's wrong with the nigga up here. But I was able to analyze his family, especially his parents. Parents are still married after 40 years, but they are separated. They won't divorce. which means there's a toxic enmeshment, dysfunctional. Mama is living in her house separately, fucking other niggas, while daddy's living with his girlfriend side chick. Yet they won't fucking divorce. And you don't think this impacted him to do damage and destruction to his women and girlfriends? 20 years in prison for domestic violence. He comes out after he's within 1-2 months, he's already putting his hands on a woman. The way that a man is raised and what he witnesses, his parents, their relationship, if it's toxic, dysfunctional, I don't care if it's a 2-parent household or whether he's raised by a single mother, and how his mother carries herself and how she allows men to treat herself, it will greatly impact a man. And he will grow up to become a man who continues to pass on what his parents taught him. He will transfer that abuse into your relationship. Ladies, be careful. I don't give a fuck how well he's dressed. I don't care if he makes 6 figures. I don't care how charming he is. I don't care. Find out how that was raised, because if his family is any type of dysfunctional, the women are misogynistic and narcissistic, the family will not want to see him succeed with a strong woman trying to help him break generational curses, generational trauma. He's going to stay loyal to his dysfunctional family. You need to get the fuck up out of there. Don't just vet a man, vet his people. And if he lies and tries to hide it, don't allow yourself to be committed to him. You got to do your research and investigative work before you get in too deep with these niggas. That's all I'm going to say.
You need to vet not only who you see in front of you, but vet his history too.
I get where she's coming from, but I've got to respectfully disagree.
Okay.
Because I think what she eventually would go on to say is, if he's got a dysfunctional family, then simply based on that, that should be a rejection.
No.
Which I feel like would be completely unfair to the adult individual you are romantically interested in. Arguably, nobody's family is perfect. And obviously, some family dynamics are going to be way worse and way more dysfunctional than others. For example, if there was abuse involved. However, in such dysfunctional dynamics, how is it the child's fault who then would turn into an adult and would therefore put themselves into adult relationships later on in their life? It isn't. What I do believe, however, is yes, you have the right to look into the person's past. You have the right to look into their family, should they offer up that information. But ultimately, you need to judge on this person's character and whether or not they took responsibility if there was any childhood trauma involved. Because what had happened to them as a child, obviously not their fault. But what are they now doing to take responsibility for what they have gone through? Have they done the work? Have they done the healing? To me, that is what matters more. Because I feel like if this situation was reversed, and it's some man on a podcast going, oh, you should never be dating a girl, you know, if she's got daddy issues, blah, 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 like, y'all would flip. I'm sorry, but come on, it's true.
A man, you need to vet not only who you see in front of you, but vet his history.
I'm gonna have to go ahead and take this one. I used to be that girl. I used to be that girl where I was not nosy. I didn't go through phones. I didn't ask 101 questions. I always believed that everything will reveal itself in time. But at the same time, that was very dangerous because the recent relationship that I was in, first of all, go back and look at that full video in its entirety because she has valid points. A way a person, especially a man, treats their mom, don't expect any less. Meaning, if they grew up with domestic violence and they saw that all the time, it's either going to breed one or two men. One that does it or one that doesn't. And the statistics are very high with the ones that do. They reenact the exact same thing. Same thing with the girls. They see the moms bringing the men in and out, and they think that's what happiness is, when in actuality, that's a broken system, and nobody should be around your children. Nobody. For almost 2 years, like I've never understood that, and I'm not a parent, but I've never understood anybody bringing men or women, but especially men, is higher in men when it comes to molestation and sexual abuse. So all these strangers in and out of the house with these single moms and stuff, like, and they got daughters or boys, like, man, that is, it's sad. And statistically, I've seen it myself being a cop and looking at the records and the case files and stuff. Like, I read that all the time. It's usually a family friend. Well, anyway, I went off on a tangent, but bringing it back around. Now I've gotten in the era where I ask 101 questions. And one thing I was taught when I was a cop, if you're under investigation as a cop and you aren't dirty and you are not guilty, you should be able to withstand any investigation. I was under investigation a lot because people didn't like me. So a quick way they thought was going to try to get rid of me was always, right, I saw Freeman go in the bathroom with an inmate. One thing about me, I stayed within policy and procedure. If I went in the bathroom with an inmate, trust me, a male staff member was already in there and something was happening. I was not stupid. I knew a lot of people didn't like me. But anyway, the whole point of this, my ex, I remember him, he was telling me, oh yeah, my mama was a hoe. I grew up, watching her getting banged on the couch, ran through, blah, blah, blah. One time, me and my homies were uptown, and as I was walking past an alley, my mom was down the alley, giving, to two of these guys by the dumpster. Like, he's telling me all this stuff. And I remember one day, it threw me for a loop, but he was like, his mom was like, I need this, and this money or something like that. And he said to her, and I quote, bitch, are you gonna suck my... And I remember looking like... Now, it didn't click. If he'll talk to his mama and say crazy stuff to his mama, who are you? Exactly. Who are you? If he has no respect for the very person that gave him life, whether her occupation was, less than desirable, why do you think he's going to respect you? So now, fast forward, then I get almost choked out one night because he gets mad at one of his other girls that's on a whole nother coast, and he takes it out on me. I really was an innocent bystander. I didn't prompt it. I didn't poke at him. I didn't pry. We were literally about to have, what, and he was texting, then he put his phone down, and then next thing I know, his hands were around my neck, and I was suspended in the air. He had a grip on me. But that was then. So that was over a year ago. So I totally get it when she says you got to vet and ask these questions. Meaning, going back to the original, saying about the investigation. If a person isn't hiding anything, you will be able to withstand any investigation. And that's including relationships. So if you need to ask the proper questions to make sure you good, you better ask them goddamn questions. Be as nosy as possible, because what's happening is you're meeting a lot of these people's representative. People can only hold their representative, especially face to face, not even 60 days. This is why they say the 90-day rule. Most guys that I've been out with and stuff, they out within the first month because they realize, oh, she not. But that's the thing. I'm so straightforward now. I'm so like, you ain't getting none. So I'm pretty much, I've kind of been forced into celibacy. Like, yeah, I can say that. That's exactly what it's been. But I'm okay with that though. It's not even that serious for me. Like, you know what I mean? But Video got long. So I say all that to say, now the person I am, I ask the questions. And if it makes them uncomfortable, it's like, oh, Houston, do we have a problem? Because what's going to happen is I'm going to protect my peace at all costs now. So what is your relationship between you and your mom? When you get mad at her, do you give her the silent treatment or do you try to talk to her? Because the way he's going to treat her is the exact same way he's going to treat you.
Yep.
And narcissists, parents of a narcissist support those narcissists. His mom knew about every last girl that he was messing with. Lord Jesus. But ask the questions, y'all. Y'all gotta protect ourselves. We have to protect ourselves. Like, yes, I know we want our companion. Don't get it twisted. I am happy single. I'm free. I get to do what I want. I have free time to myself like I'm living. Do I want a companion? Yes, I do. But the point is to be whole by yourself, with or without a companion. If I'm not meant to have a companion in this lifetime, it's okay because I'm still living and loving myself. That's the point. I'm in this video right here, but y'all just ask the necessary questions because y'all have done so much healing. And I would hate for y'all to get back out there in that dating world and repeat the same fucking cycle again after doing so many months, weeks, days of healing and crying and journaling and this and that. Don't let some Tom, Dick, or Harry, or the females, don't let them come in pretty, shiny, big boobs, nice ass, long hair, whatever. Don't let them come in and ruin y'all peace. It is not worth it. I would stay single. It is not worth anybody messing with my peace anymore. For the first time in my life, I've never had peace. This is it. And what's funny, you try to create your own chaos when 1, 2, 3, 4 on the timer, when you don't have it. And I didn't realize I had created it. I had an assistant that got pregnant by my ex. I had a best friend, well, I called her a best friend, who was just using me and bullying me and talking nasty to me, just being mean as shit to me in front of everybody. Then I had the coach, whom was my boyfriend, who was mentally, physically, all the abuses. That's who he was, on top of, that nigga was broke. God damn, he was broke. Anyway, I had the nerve to say to the best friend, she ain't got nothing. I don't know why I'm with her. I got more than you. I got an apartment. I got a car. You ain't got none of the above. You can't put nothing in your name. Like, are you serious? Well, anyway, so please ask the necessary questions so y'all do not regress in y'all healing. If it is confusion, let it go. Soon as that person don't hit you back, this, that, and other, blah, blah, blah. Don't nobody not check their phone for 5-6 hours. Nobody. Nobody. Unless you are a prison fucking guard and I'm not a we anymore. They go off the map for almost 12 plus hours a day. Can't bring the cell phones into the place. But most people aren't prison guards. So, be careful, y'all.
Because one thing I would never do is date a man who saw his mom get physically abused.
I felt the need to stitch this because, oh my gosh, my eye. I feel like I had to stitch this because I feel like the thought process that she has could be kind of dangerous, especially because she has a large following. So I kind of want to offer like a different perspective to what she's saying. Okay. And what she's saying is basically that she will not date a man who's seen their mother be abused. And then she lists out like Chris Brown's mom was abused. And within that whole Chris Brown situation, I'm not really going to stay on it. It's going to be a touch and go. Chris Brown was not the only abuser in that situation. So was Rihanna. And y'all don't want to have that conversation, but nobody should be putting their hands on anybody. Emotional abuse is still abuse. Verbal abuse is still abuse. All of that is still abuse. It does not matter. So that's my issue on that. So if you want to talk about Chris Brown, also talk about Rihanna. That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say. They were both very abusive in that relationship. But back to what she's saying. Very few percentage of the people who have been or have seen abuse abused actually turns into abusers. More times than not, those people are acceptable to actually being abused by other people than they are about putting that onto other people. You'll be surprised to know that people who come from healthy families tend to be more abusive than the ones who don't. Typically, the ones who've seen abuse does not want to put that onto other people. So I want y'all to be mindful of that when you're hearing stuff like this. Another thing, you cannot control who your mom, dad, sister, you cannot control who's in your family. As a child, you do not make those type of decisions. So to not talk to somebody anymore because of something out of their control is kind of wild to me. But I'll give you a different option instead. If someone tells you that someone in their family was abused and you saw that, ask them, well, how did that affect you? Did you go to therapy for that? Is that something that affects you in your relationships? And another thing is, this will probably shock a lot of y'all, your family's relationship, although does have an effect on you, is not the biggest thing about why you are the way that you are. Now, again, I'm not saying it does not have an effect on you at all, because that's not true. But there are other environmental factors. There are other personal factors. There are other things that play an effect to how you navigate life versus than like your parents and how they react or how they are. I can't talk right now, but you know what I'm trying to say. So again, be mindful. Do not consume this type of content and take that as truth. Now, if she wants to date like that, that's her. Look, do what you want to do at the end of the day. I just wanted to offer a different perspective of maybe why that is not the best idea to do. That's all. That's all.
One thing I would never do is date a man who saw his mom get physically abused.
See, this, I thought the wrong way. I thought that if this happened to his mom or whatever, or sisters or something, if he grew up seeing that, then he would learn how to treat a woman and do better. That's not the case. I learned the hard way.
Because one thing I would never do is date a man who saw his mom get physically abused.
So after my relationship ended 4 or 5 months ago, I had this question that was constantly in my head. It really bothered me a lot. And I was wondering why someone I had shown so much respect, love, cared for, not only for him, but also his family, could abuse me. You know, he cheated on me. At that point, he was putting me through so much emotional abuse that actually affected me physically. I was so drained mentally, emotionally, physically, financially. You know, I was in a really bad place. Like, he put me through so much, but he never apologized for it. Not only did he not apologize, after the relationship ended, he wanted us to be friends. And that just bothered me. Like, you've just abused me, and now you want us to be friends? What is wrong with you? You know, how can you not see what you did to me was wrong? And then it actually took me to a conversation that we had a few years back. Like, we were together for 3 years, so maybe halfway through the relationship, he said something that even though his dad used to beat his mom up, like it was their culture, you know, he used to physically and I'm sure as well as emotionally abuse her, she always stayed, and she was the one who took care of him lovingly in his last days. And I think when I realized that, it actually made me realize, oh yeah, wait, that makes a lot of sense. For him to abuse me and also expect me to be like, oh, that's okay, you want us to be friends, come here, let's have, you know. That made a lot of sense. He's grown up in a family in situations whereby he watched women get abused and they stayed. And not only did they stay, they carried on with their duties, they took care of their families, you know, they just persevered or something of the sort. And he was expecting me to just disregard everything that he had done to me. Because, you know, it's normal. That's what women do. You abuse them and then you go back and they take you. So for him, it was pretty normal. And that's why he was so angry that I refused to be his friend and continue as though he had not hurt me and cheated on me. So yeah, I would say it's really important that you have some of these conversations with men earlier on. It's quite important to get to know someone, and even if you're in a relationship with them, once they mention something that is a red flag, you really have to question it. And that is why I always say normalize living men. It does not matter how many years you've been married. It does not matter that at times he's good. If there's a red flag, run.
Please go on in the comment section and share your thoughts. I'd love to know what you think about this conversation down in the comment section, but please keep it respectful. Here on this channel, we're allowed to disagree, okay? Disagreement is normal, yeah? We disagree, but that does not mean we're fighting, okay? So we're allowed to disagree, so feel free to share your opinion, but please keep it respectful, okay? So, yeah, I'd like to know your thoughts on this. If venting the person you want to be with, his family, if it's very important, or do you think that the way a child is raised or the way someone is raised in their childhood actually reflect who they are? Okay, so go down and share your thought. So here's my own thought on this, is that I kind of agree with what she said, but I feel like it's like two-edged sword when it comes to this kind of conversation, because some people take their situation or their childhood and flip it to something positive, while some people take it and flip it to the negative side. So I do agree that whatever a child is being exposed to in their childhood reflects trauma, but the thing is that has the person that is going on that trauma, has the person reflect on that trauma and understand what that trauma has done to them. Because one thing about childhood trauma or the hurt of your inner child is that if you don't identify it, even when it's reflecting in your adult life, in your day-to-day life, you're trying to defend it. But once you can identify it and say, oh, I guess this is what happened to me as a child that makes me react a certain way. I'll take myself for example. I personally am known to be like a control. I control things. Like I'm a control freak and I'm a perfectionist. I like things done certain way and all that. And for the longest time, if somebody had called me a perfectionist or you're very controlling, I'll pick an offense to it. I'll like, no, I'm not. I'll try to defend the action. But eventually I got to understand why I was that way, and that's because as a child, especially being the first daughter, I was made to make sure everything was in order and everything was in a certain way. So automatically I grew up to be a woman that I like things done a certain way. If things are not done a certain way, it upsets me. Like I get agitated, I get anxious over it. And for the longest time, I didn't understand why little things tickles me. Even up to the way you watch my plate, you will clean my plate, like it would tick me. But by the time I could identify it, was like, you know what, this thing is from my childhood, from that old control or things that my mom have towards me. Like that would get me like really thick. But over time, I've come to realize that, you know what, and I seen my therapist, going for therapy. That's when my therapist was like, you know what, do you know you're a perfectionist? Do you know you have control over everything? And I kind of really not take aback about it, because I was raised in a place where I was in charge of everybody. And once my mom is coming home, I have to make sure things were done in a certain way, things were in place, or else if things were not in place the way she wants it, I'm on my own. Like I will get the beating of my life, and that made me who I am. But a whole lot of time, you see someone like my husband complaining, like, "Oh, you always want to control everything. You are never satisfied when people do things for you, except you do it yourself." And for a long time in my life, I got really overwhelmed with work, like doing things because I have to do things myself. Everything I have to do it myself, because in my head, nobody would do it the way I want it, because I was controlling and I was a perfectionist. Two toxic traits. And now, knowing who I am now and what I am now, it has made me to like really ease off. Even when sometimes I want to like, you're not doing this thing this way, I'm just telling myself, it's you are the one, this is how the person knows how to do this thing, and it's fine. Just correct the person and show the person the way you want it, okay? So I've come to learn about, before now, So when people talk about, oh, always vent people, how people are raised and their family dynamic, yes, but also know if they've been in the journey to heal and if they know themselves. Because you can't just capitalize somebody because somebody comes from a dysfunctional family. That means, oh, the person is a no-no because the person But if the person is able to process those childhood trauma, those hurts, those things that he went through and saw as a child, the person has been able to process those thoughts, that person can actually turn out to be a better person. I've seen siblings that grew up in the same household. One is this way, one is this way. It just has to show how the person processed whatever trauma they went through and how they are healing and if they are working on themselves. So I kind of agree with her, but also, and this is why I always advocate here on this channel, always be very intentional and know why you are having children, because a lot of people don't know why they choose to have children and they end up passing on trauma to them, which the children end up being like in my society, like the other sister was talking about, oh, if you come from a toxic family, like this is something that is very rampant in my society, that you see a man that is from a toxic family, he saw the mom got beaten and the mom still stayed with the father and all that, and this man, even though he saw how badly his mother was treated, but because there was no consequences of what the father did to the mother is still there, the mother is still taking care of the dad, showing up for the dad and the family. Tell me, why wouldn't this man feel like he could easily get away with it? Because there's no consequences for it. You are not going to leave. You're not supposed to talk back at me, because when my mother talked back at my father like that, that's what my father did too. So it has to also do with the individual. The individual identify what happened there, that it was bad, and how did they process it, how did it affect them, and if they were able to process that trauma. Okay, so that's my own thought on this. So guys, please, if you want to have kids, be careful, be very intentional, and make sure you've healed yourself, you've healed your trauma, so that you can raise a healthy human being. Okay. Anyway, guys, with that all said, guys, please go ahead and share your thought about this video down in the comment section, but please keep it respectful. Go on and share this video with somebody that you want to be part of the conversation, because that's what we do here. We have banging conversation. So go on and share your thought. Love to know what you think about this, and share this video. Please share this video, okay? Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, because this helps YouTube to push out my content for more people to see. So go on and smash the like button. Give it a like, okay? And because that will be you supporting me, and that will be you supporting this channel. With that all said, guys, subscribe if you haven't subscribed, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Deuces.